One more drink, one more drink. You know in the morning for sure we gon' stink. One more round, one more round. It's 5 a.m., you pricks, the barkeep frowned. This is what we do, catch up for a few. We'll riff and talk some shit and then we'll sleep till 2. Talk some shit and then we'll sleep till 2.
Woo! Hey, we might be drunk. It's fucking 3 p.m. on Super Bowl Sunday.
This is our first early one.
Yes, we're finally moving on to day drinking, which is the next step of alcoholism.
What are you drinking? I'm dying to know what you drink during the day.
Well, I figured it's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm in New Orleans seeing my mom on her birthday. She's 25.
Happy birthday,
So,
Mrs. Normand.
I'm going Bloody Mary.
Whoa, dude.
No way. No way. Look at that.
The official
Wow.
day drink.
Great day drink. A little vodka here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it up.
I threw a fucking spicy pickle up in that motherfucker.
Ooh, I'm jealous. I wish I had a couple of little accoutrements or whatever you call it.
What
Garnish.
do you go to for a Bloody Mary? Like what's an appropriate garnish? What takes it too far?
Oh, good question. Well, in New Orleans, there's all these psychos who put a fucking crab leg in there and a shrimp tail and a
I love it.
tampon. But they always go too far. It's like a Katrina version. The whole kitchen sink's in there, you know. It's like a prosthetic leg and all this dildo. But I think green olive, celery, maybe an okra, and some white onion.
How about a pickle's not okay?
Oh, well, pickle's good. Pickle's good.
I like a pickle. I even throw some pickle juice up in that motherfucker, dude. I'm crazy.
Good.
I like a little pickle juice with booze. I was pro pickleback from the get-go.
Oh yeah, pickleback had a renaissance. That really popped.
It died out like fucking what was that
Cronut.
Cronut? That's what it was. I was thinking of Zima. Zima was the one I was thinking of. Zima had a minute and then it was like peace. Bye, Zima. That was like how you described a guy as a pussy. That was like for like the guy who was like homophobic but couldn't say that. So he'd be like, "What are you, a Zima drinker?" And you're like, chill out.
Right. Zima, Crystal Pepsi, and the Macarena. In and out.
Well, Crystal Pepsi made no sense.
I thought it was cool. I mean, it was clear. I'm like, it used to be brown, now it's clear, but nobody dug it.
But it's just fucking. But now it's like, but you got another clear drink that you're peddling with 7-Up. Why are we doing? Now it's just confusing. I don't know.
Yeah, good point. And nobody gives a shit. You know, it's just the same drink, just clear. So yeah, I get it. But White Claw, when it first came out, it was like this pussy drink. It was a lemon truly, you know. And after a while, people were like, "Look, fuck you. I'm a pussy. I'm drinking it." And then they just owned it. And it kind of got garnered, or what's the word? Grandfathered in.
Yeah, I think you know what happened. It got James Garnered in. It was a cool ass. No, you know what it was?
The wife off a boat.
I think that was Robert Wagner, wasn't it?
Oh, geez, sorry.
But also he didn't do it. But like,
right?
Yeah, Natalie Wood, man, fuck.
Oh, pretty lady.
Went out fucking at sea. That's how you're gonna die.
I know. And that was back when you can get away with a murder. You know, that was pre-DNA, pre-cell phone cam, all that shit.
Pre-DNA is like, it was fucking just anyone. It was like steroids in baseball. It's like when no one gave a shit, you could just put up numbers. You know what I mean?
It's so true. You know, you watch these unsolved mysteries, it's almost like a cell phone in a horror movie. Like back in the day, there were no cell phones. So, you know, he's in the house. And now it's just like, I just call the police, or I'll be at the log cabin. I'll call the fire department, whatever it is. And back in the day, you were just screwed.
Well, you nailed it, because they remade Rear Window with Shia LaBeouf. They called it Disturbia. And the whole thing about Rear Window is that she goes across the street to the murderer's place and he can't reach her. He's screaming like, get out. But in Disturbia, he's like, she must have no service. That was the whole thing.
Yeah, they have to have a scene where the cell phone breaks or it falls in a lake, you know, just to get through the plot.
That's your T-Mobile ad right there. You should have switched to AT&T.
Right.
She got murdered. Grace Kelly died.
Yeah.
She fought another one that died young, car crash.
Really?
Married like the Prince of Monaco or something. And she died in a car crash at like 50 or something. It's fucking horrible. Beautiful
Man.
woman.
Beautiful. I mean, all those people went out. Like Fatty Arbuckle was young, and Marilyn Monroe was the overdose. All those hot ladies, they were not. They were smoking cigarettes at 9. They were only allowed to drink coffee and smoke cigarettes. They couldn't gain weight. I mean, it was a rough life for a young starlet in like the 40s.
That's so true. Yeah, Marilyn Monroe is just like so fucking tiny. Like she just like I bet if you saw her in person now, you'd be like, that's like a little person. She was so small. And banging Joe DiMaggio. So not only she's small, but she's probably fucking catching some abuse. That was an angry dude right there.
No doubt about it. Well, what's the other guy? Arthur Miller. What a range of dick. It's like manliest.
I didn't know she fucked Arthur Miller. Seriously?
Oh, they were hot and heavy.
Arthur Miller, Joe DiMaggio, and did she bang Sinatra too? I think Sinatra's like fucked all his friends' girl.
Yeah. He wasn't a great guy, I bet. I mean,
no.
You've seen The Kid Stays in the Picture where he's banging Mia Farrow.
Dude, that's like fucking weird too. He was 61 and she was 20.
I know.
What do you talk about?
Yeah.
What do you like?
Good question.
You're looking for depends. She's looking for fucking I don't know, 61. 61 Sinatra's fucking rough too. That's not like a regular 60. That's not like a fucking Dwayne Johnson 61. That's a vodka martini. I'm getting fucking hammered. I don't sleep, and I eat ribeyes every night. 61. Yeah,
that's a 2-pack a day, scotch drinking. Italian greaseball Italian Jersey guy, crooner. Yeah, you're right. That'll wear on you. Plus, nobody was eating kale back then, or doing fucking meditating or Zumba. So yeah, that's a bad.
It was bad when Rickles was the healthy one in your group.
You hockey puck.
Dude, fuck. Sinatra really, apparently a manic depressive, terrible. Yeah, but he fucked his friends' women. Like when Bogey was dying, he was like, you're my boy, Bogey, and then immediately moves in on Lauren Bacall.
Whoa.
Yeah.
She's still
Ava
hot.
Gardner. Yeah. Oh, dude, he fucking. I mean, no one's saying he didn't have game.
Wow. What's her name? There was some starlet back then. She said Sinatra was the best sex of her life, but it was in the 40s and 50s. So she said in an interview, you couldn't be vulgar. So she said, "Oh my God, he's amazing in the feathers," which I thought was such a great, cool line for this whore to like cover it up.
The feathers.
The feathers.
Fuck. So noir. I love they all had to talk. It was better writing back then because they had to avoid that stuff. We can just say fuck whenever we want, so we can get lazy.
Yeah, so true. I mean, I did the Tonight Show and I used to say like something or other and I had to change it to go clean. I wish I knew what it was, but it was so much more clever because I had to make it clean. And it made me get creative.
Ways. It does both. It works both ways because I remember Nick Griffin, our buddy on Letterman, I might have said this on our podcast even, but he had a joke like, young women are filled with sugar and spice and everything nice, and I'm filled with anger and semen and shame. And they made him change semen to Prozac, and I'm like, "Fuck, semen's so much funnier. You get the alliteration." So it works. Those suits don't help us, but I do think when we force ourselves to have to come up with a more clever line,
Yeah. That's true. It can go both ways, totally. But Sinatra apparently Did you watch the doc on HBO about him?
No, I read a book by Earl Wilson, who was like a New York Post writer back in the day. I never saw the doc. Is it great?
It's pretty great, just because like how different things are. Like he was Italian back in the day, and you couldn't, you got in trouble if you were Italian. His dad had to change the name of his bar to O'Leary's just to seem Irish, just so he could keep it open. Like crazy shit about Italian discrimination.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, and he would just get really drunk and be like, he had a jet, obviously. He's the most on the planet. And he'd be like, let's just fly to London. They're like, dude, it's 5. And let's go to bed. He's like, let's fly to London. Just couldn't stop.
Well, that was like a power thing back then. I mean, the song Come Fly With Me is like, that was a status thing. Come fly with me. Now it's like, all right, you want to go fly somewhere? But like back then it was like, come fly with me. We'll float down to Peru. And they'd be like, oh my God, Peru,
Right. It was like right. That's a great point. And all these cool little stories about like stand-up comedy. You call it stand-up comedy because the mob ran all the night clubs and the gin joints, and they'd say, "This is a stand-up guy. He's good. He's a stand-up guy," and that's where stand-up comedian came from.
Interesting. Yeah, and also Vegas, when the mob ran it, it seemed to work much more smoothly.
It did. It seemed smooth, even though they're murderers and psychopaths. It kind of worked.
If you bail on the movie Casino before that last scene, it seems all right. I don't know. Right before Pesci and Phil Vincent or Frank Vincent, whatever, get fucking. That's one of the toughest to watch scenes ever.
Oh, when he's watching his brother get pounded, and then they throw his fat body with the tighty whities into the ditch, and they hit him with bat. Ah, God, it's too much. He's like
one of the toughest.
4'3".
One of the toughest scenes.
Brutal, but fun movie. That's a movie you can just put on, keep on. You're making eggs in the background. You're watching Casino. They got a guy's hand in a vice. It's great.
I mean, which hand do you deal with? James Woods playing the sleaziest motherfucker.
Yeah.
So good in that movie.
Oh man, he's so, what is it? Lester Diamond?
Something like that. And Sharon Stone's is hot as fuck in that movie too.
So hot.
She was good actress. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. That scene where she blows Pesci, she's crying on his shoulder. He's like, I know. I mean, come on. I was 14. Like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here?
Yeah, Pesci's a piece of shit, but you're also like, well done, Pesci. It's one of those weird moments where you're like, he's a bad friend, but like, I didn't expect Pesci to be pulling Sharon Stone, so
I know.
I give him a little bit of a nod.
Right. And apparently all true story and all that based on a true story. Pretty amazing.
It is weird where like mob type dudes draw the line, you know, because they're like, I mean, I'm obsessed with The Sopranos, and like, it is funny how they'll like justify shit. We're like, this is horrible, this is fucked up, but then like they'll be like, pedophile, we don't fucking do that, we just murder people, and you're like, all right, but you're still like a bad dude. You know?
That isn't. I mean, prison's the same way. You know, they're all murderers and rapists, but then when a pedophile comes in, they're like, this guy's a bad apple.
Yeah, that's true. It's like Madoff in prison got a lot of respect. They were like, this dude, he robbed people blind for decades, this motherfucker. And he walks in, everyone's like, I'm sure it gets old. I'm sure he preferred being in a brownstone. And
I mean, it's look, I get it. I mean, it's cruel, and he's robbing people, and he's a criminal, but like, there's something badass about doing crime with a suit on and not getting your hands dirty.
Exactly. I mean, if you're in there for vehicular, like some sort of like car robbery or something, and then you meet this guy and you're like, well, this guy's the king, you know?
Yes, he did it from an ivory tower while getting a BJ and rubbing a cat, you know, and these other guys are on their hands and knees under a car stealing a catalytic converter. Way cooler.
You know what's crazy? He's like the peak of what a criminal can be, and it still ended horribly for him. I mean, didn't one of his kids kill himself? I mean, it was fucking bad, I think.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know.
I'm pretty sure one of his kids commits suicide.
Oh, I mean,
I'm double checking here, but
also two things.
Maybe I'm
wrong.
How
perfect is the name? Isn't it weird when a name is so made off? He made off, and then you got Anthony Weiner. That's another perfect one. How great is that? That's just like a gift from the comedy gods.
Did you see the Weiner doc?
Oh, I saw it. Wait, that's just gay porn? Oh, the Weiner. Yeah, I've seen that. That's great.
Fucking incredible, dude.
Decent piece on that guy as well.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Oh,
yeah, and he had kind of a good. Actually, you know, I do remember a little bit because that gym underwear shot, and he's in good shape too. He's like, great. He looks like a string bean, but then you're like, oh, this dude works out.
Oh yeah, he's got like the Fight Club shredded, skinny muscle.
What a waste! Guy. What a waste of the V-ab, you know? Body. I mean, he fucking pulled Huma, who was hot and
is that right?
Accomplished. You know, his wife is, you know, he married her. She was hot. And
I thought you said Uma Thurman.
No, Huma. She was like a Clinton aide. She's in the doc. She's super hot and successful and clearly put up with a lot.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah.
She got that from Hillary too. She's like, we as women have to deal with a lot. And they're like, all right. I mean, he had so many chances as mayor and as a husband. And the part was so fucking funny is I saw that in the theaters in New York, and there's that scene where they have a Jon Stewart clip, and they play the clip in Borough Park where someone says something anti-Semitic, like you just show Wiener losing his shit on some Orthodox Jew, and everyone's like, "Oh, what a lunatic!" But then clip before, and some Orthodox Jew says something really fucked up about him being with an Arab. And Jon Stewart goes, I take it back. Fuck him. And it got an applause break on The Daily Show. And in the theater, it got an applause break. And you're like, damn, Jon Stewart kills so hard that he's killing in a theater.
Yes. Wow. How interesting is that? That it's like, hey, he's a racist or a bigot, and then the person who calls you a bigot turns out to be bigoted.
Isn't that crazy?
That's human nature. We all do it.
And also, that's the internet too, is like we're so quick to jump on someone who fucks up, but then it's like, okay, but we just saw where they lost their mind. Can we see what happened before?
Right. Exactly.
Can we challenge the play like a football game? Can we challenge this cancellation or whatever this is?
Yes. But they don't want to check because they just want, as Bill Maher would say, they want the scalp on the wall. They don't actually care about the justice. They just want to get you.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, but then also, if it's not too serious, they tend to move on. I mean, that's the nature of the internet too. Is like if you just ignore, they run away usually. They move on. They move on to the next shiny story.
Exactly. It's interesting you say Borough Park because I had a Hasidic landlord, and I'd have to go pay him in Borough. He made me go out to Borough Park, which is like a million miles into Brooklyn. It's all Hasidic. It's all Hebrew. Everything. Yeah. Like you'd see like a Hebrew, like a guy in a Jewish outfit with the tassels and the curls, like hammering on a building. You're like, what the fuck? It's so weird to see a Jewish guy building stuff or like doing a buzzsaw, and it's just weird to see. You don't see a lot of Jewish carpentry.
You handyman? Hey,
we have the number like laying cement with a yarmulke on. It's just fascinating.
I beg to differ. We have the most famous Jewish carpenter of all time.
Well, I haven't seen much of his work, to be honest.
That's fair.
I don't know where the Jesus cabinets are.
But no, I know what you mean. I used to go to I used to tutor kids in South Williamsburg, and when I'd leave late at night, I'd be like, oh, this is fucking weird late at night. Because you see a lot of shady looking characters.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. So they knew right away I wasn't part of the tribe. Because I remember one time I walked in to Borough Park area and I'm lost. And I see a Jewish guy on the corner. I go, hey, man, which way is 14th Street? And he looks me up and down and goes, I don't know. And I turn, I go half a block. I hit 14th Street. I was like, that motherfucker.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looked you up and down. There is, as a Jew, I'm a cultural Jew. I'm not a religious Jew. So I'm more of an avoidant Jew. I'm not like the type. Well, there's a type on the street. They're like, are you Jewish? And they're they're trying to get you to sign up for something. And you're just like, yeah, but I'm like a Jew who keeps to myself. I'm not trying to get on more email lists. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be part of the prayer circle or the synagogue or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and they know. I mean, you kind of have a Jewish vibe, though. I mean, I think a lot of it is like you grew up with so much comedy, and so many comedians are Jewish.
Yeah.
So there's almost like a Jewish sensibility in you a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I take it as a compliment. I'm a wannabe. I mean, like Larry David and Seinfeld and Adam Sandler, Groucho Marx, Woody Allen. Like I'm obsessed with all these Jewish guys. Plus, every time you go, is that guy Jewish? He's really funny. They usually say, yeah, like Mel Brooks and Mort Saul, and it just keeps going. And Shelley Herman, whatever it is. But
a lot of people don't even know who Mort Saul is now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Woody Allen's idol, by the way.
You know what's interesting about Mort Saul? I saw someone write something about this, how if he died and Lenny Bruce went on, he would have been Lenny Bruce. Because if you die in your prime, I mean, think about who the most famous rappers of all time are. It's Tupac and Biggie. It's the two guys who died in their fucking 20s. Think about the reverence we have for Bill Hicks or people who die super young.
Yeah. Hedberg,
Geraldo, yeah. Geraldo was in his 40s, but he was like just getting to that prime where he was so fucking good. I mean, like look at Che Guevara. I think we've talked about this, but like the people that become iconic, we talked about this a little last episode, but like Mort Saul was like the guy. He was like John Oliver or Jon Stewart back in the day.
Yeah.
And it just got old. And I guess it just stopped working. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, first, again, just go back to the Jewish thing. Mort Saul, Jon Stewart, Lenny Bruce, Joan Rivers, all Jews, but...
It's John Leibowitz, by the way, his real name.
That's right, which is a little offensive that he changed it, Come on, buddy, stick with the group. But I get it, it's Hollywood. But I don't know if Mort Saul, and we're going deep comedy stuff here, I don't know if Mort Saul had the cojones. Like Lenny Bruce was a twisted guy, heroin addict, weirdo a little bit. he had the chutzpah to like push the system. I don't know if Mort Saul was trying to rock the boat. I mean, he had some great points and he was political, but I think you need a little bit of a psycho to go say cocksucker in the 50s in a coffee shop and get pulled out by cops.
That's well said. And also to like be a druggie and like kind of like a hard edge badass in a leather jacket. You're kind of like, oh, you're trying to shake it up a little bit.
Yes. Joan Rivers said he made comedy sexy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Not, you look at Shelley Berman or Mel Brooks, they're not exactly sexy guys. They're not.
Yeah, but look who Mel Brooks married though.
Good point. I mean,
Anne Bancroft. Yeah, I mean, like funny can be cool, man.
Right. And he was in World War II, by the way. Don't forget that.
Yeah, these motherfuckers are such more like we think about like men. I saw this article on Tom Brady, and it was just him. It was like on him. He did a thing on Jimmy Kimmel show where they read mean tweets. A funny segment, like gives people an opportunity to be a little self-deprecating. And he's reading these tweets, and they're like, "You're not a man. You can't use a wrench." And Tom Brady's like, "Yeah, you're kind of right."
Right.
It's like funny, but it's like, well, what's a man? It's like the dude's like the greatest football player ever.
No,
it's like you're not
silly.
a fucking man. You can't use a wrench. Like, guess what? He's so successful. He never had to learn how.
Exactly. Yes. I'm banging a supermodel. I got 6 Super Bowl rings. I'm a millionaire. I provide. I'm a best player. What do you want from me?
Yeah. He's a fucking, I wonder if I'm sure it's enjoyable, the accolades and being just like beyond loved by everyone. Everyone's like, you're the fucking greatest. I saw that rapper, French Montana put $250K on the Super Bowl. I'm like, God damn.
Wow.
Imagine that shit. But everyone fucking loves Brady, man. And it's everyone at least respects him.
Yes. Yeah. The only people that hate him are because he's so good.
Yeah. I mean, and also like, I think like when you're just being fed constantly, this guy's the GOAT, this guy's the greatest, people are like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
But he is. I mean, it's like, I think, and it's another thing. It's like when he retires, I think people will love him even more because they'll really take in the greatness. It's like MJ, like in his prime. I fucking hated MJ in the 90s. Right. I was a Knicks fan, but like you can't look back on Jordan and not be like, you're the shit. You're not the shit.
Course.
He's the shit.
Course. He's the shit. He's the guy. He's the best. And it's just what we do in this country. We like to bring you up and then take you down. And but death is the ultimate down. So once you go to death, you're back up again. It's this weird fucking system, and it's all based on insecurity and ego. And let me just say this about the Jews. It's the last thing. You gotta have some weird Jewish chosen people, Hebrew pride because there's some Jewish bad guys out there, but they're the best at being bad guys. Madoff is the best at what he did. Epstein, obviously a villain, but killed it. I mean, who had more ladies on a conveyor belt?
Oh, and to go against what you're saying, they weren't ladies.
Sorry, females, I should say.
Females, I guess. No, I mean, Epstein is he made it to the top for sure. I mean, he was a sneaky motherfucker. Weird that he was a teacher at Dalton.
Yeah.
Weird that he was, I mean.
Smart dude. I'm not defending what the guy did, but it's like the Mike Racine joke, where they go, this guy is the worst pedophile. He molested 500 kids. And you're like, actually, he's the best pedophile.
Yes. That's a fucking brilliant joke.
His joke, basically.
Mike's brilliant joke where he's like, the worst pedophile. That's a guy who can't get his van to start. Yeah. He's giving kids WNBA cards. His candy is circus peanuts. That's a brilliant joke.
Brilliant. Mike's always it's got the best tags of all time.
If you guys want a great album, check out Mike Racine's album. It's iTunes, Spotify, RECINE, Mike Racine. Fucking incredibly funny.
Incredible.
So many great jokes. But yeah, no, I mean, look, peak villain, I guess so. Yeah. I guess Epstein was Harvey Weinstein.
Another peak Jew villain. You guys know what you do is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even though it could be for good or it could be for bad, you're going to the top.
You know what's weird about Weinstein is his real last name is Stewart, but he changed it to be no. Harvey Weinstein is it's weird because you rewatch some of those movies, you're like, man, he really made great movies. Like Spotlight was one of his last ones. You're like, that's a fucking incredible movie.
Best
the
picture of the
Tarantino
year.
movies. Then you read about him. You're like, you're the worst motherfucker. You're the worst human being.
What is it about these guys who do good work? Like Cosby was known as the best comedian of all time for a while, and then he's a psycho.
Not a
rapey
Jew.
guy. no doctor, but no Jew. But, yeah, no, it's just the weirdest thing. Like you hear Picasso's this brilliant artist, but he's also like a wife beater or whatever it is. So it's
a prick.
Weird kind of extremes that these guys live in.
Well, I think if you're used to getting away with shit, massive success ain't gonna make you stop.
yeah, I guess so. Good point.
And also Weinstein, I mean, look at the guy. He probably was a horny motherfucker who couldn't get laid. Then he got all this power and was like, I still can't get laid.
Right. I know. And then you hear all these stories about him and Epstein had like weird dongs where they were like deformed and twisted. So you're like, that's
egg-shaped.
Yeah.
Egg-shaped.
Like Hitler
penis.
with the one ball.
One ball, and apparently Hitler had a tiny dong as well.
Oh, interesting. We're seeing a pattern. Thank God we have huge dogs.
Thank God our dicks aren't egg-shaped.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a weird shape, by the way.
Yeah. That's tough because you want some girth, but it's no good without the length. You don't want a tuna can.
No one wants their dick to be described as hard-boiled. What did it look like? Poached. I don't know.
Poached. Woo. Yeah.
It's such a weird thing. Our boy Ronan Hirschberg had such a great tweet about I don't want to victim shame, but I feel like Eva Braun really ignored a lot of red flags about Hitler.
That's great. So true.
Fuck.
I mean, just those nights are in the pillow talk. I can only imagine what he was saying.
That'd be great if he was like really shy in bed. If he was just like, he's like, oh shucks, I don't know. He was. I mean, there were the gay rumors too, obviously.
Oh,
well, the obsession. I mean, when you're obsessing over men's looks and the whole Aryan thing enough, it's kind of like, all right, there might be some shit going on.
Yeah, I mean, just the sheer numbers. Like you'd have to think some slave owners back in the day were probably like, damn, look at the dong on that slave, because like. Obviously, there had to be gay slave owners just with the sheer statistics.
Sure. And they all sounded like Lindsey Graham. They all had the same delivery. But
right. You're right.
What? Give me a rec. All
right. I'm glad you asked there because I feel like I've been throwing out 12 documentaries a week, and I got to mix.
I started one of them. I started the Operation Odessa. I'm like halfway through. I'm going to finish it tonight. I loved it. I'm all in. I love docs like that where it's just insanity. It's a great recommendation. I can't wait to finish it.
It's such a cool doc because it's so over the top, but it's real. So it's not like, oh, the writers went too far. It's like, I can't believe this is all true. So it's fun. All right. So I've been recommending a lot of movies and docs and all that. So I'm mixing it up. A band I love that I don't think is getting any recognition, or at least I'm out of the music game, so maybe I'm an idiot. But Dr. Dog. I'm throwing it out there. Are they huge?
Yeah, aren't they? I think they're huge. Harry, write into us. Are they not huge? Dr. Dog?
They're out of Philly. Like every one banger after another. They're kind of mellow, but they can the lyrics are really smart and interesting. So I'm going Dr. Dog. I put it on when I write. I put it on the car. I love it.
Dr. Dog. I'm looking them up. Yeah, they're big. I don't know. Yeah. All right. They maybe not. Look, I'm not a big music guy in terms of like knowing new bands and stuff, and I know them. So that's,
Okay.
I've heard their stuff. They're great. They're very good.
Love them. Just kind of mellow, but really, really talented musicians. Big fan of Dr. D. And I think they like this kind of mid-level career. I think feels like that's the new hotspot of famous. You don't want to be Kim K, and you don't want to be nobody. I like a nice middle ground, like a Burt Kreischer level or a Bill Burr or something like that.
Arenas is your middle ground, Bill Burr. Plays the Garden, dude.
Good point.
Same with Burt. They're huge.
Good point.
The Segura's huge too. What are you talking about?
Shit. All right. Let me dial it back. Mike Racine. That's where you want to be. No. A little bigger than Mike.
No, I know
somewhere between that.
You're right, though. You're right about like the not having to worry about like paparazzi and having a good middle class career, which you kind of can as an entertainer now. You couldn't back in the day, I feel like, but
That's true.
But now it's like, yeah, you have a good, solid, financial career, but you don't have to worry about just, I don't know. I mean, there's gonna be shit at every level, I feel like. But the
Sure.
bigger you get, it just seems like you have a target on your back.
Yeah, completely. And look, you have these high heights and it's probably great. You reach the mountaintop, but the level of shit is also equal to the greatness. And I'm too weak. I'd rather just a nice middle shit and a middle greatness. I don't want to be Ellen. That's insane. Or Kevin Hart. I can't even imagine. That's got to be a nightmare. But you're right. With the internet, you can kind of hover and be in a nice B squad. And that's good enough for me.
I don't want to be Ellen because it just looks like not real, like what she's
Wow.
doing. Like, I mean, her coming out and like dancing with people. And then I'm like, I know
Ah.
you're not a good person. Like, there's no way you're like there's no way that you're that cool. And then like every member of her staff is like, she's horrible. And it's like,
Yes.
so you've created this world where you're this like fun. As like, that's not a fun person.
Right. Completely.
We know you're not fun. I mean, I respect that she fucking is cutthroat and played the game and lesbian in the 90s sitcom, like couldn't have been easy, but like enough with this fucking ruse that you're
Yeah.
if you're throwing out with the dancing. To me is like, no fucking comic is dancing.
Exactly. Yeah. Nice people they just kind of hang back and be nice. They don't have to. It's almost like the guy who hates gays, but he's actually gay,
Right.
She's coming out and dancing and you're like, you're actually a cunt. Like, but then you got what's his face? James Gandolfini is just hanging back, smoking cigars. He's giving the whole cast his pay.
He's the greatest.
The greatest.
Keanu Reeves, another one. You never hear shit about him. Be like, oh, he's just a great dude.
Great dude.
Basically, any straight white man is just a great guy, and
he's half Filipino, I think. That helps.
No, I'm fucking around. No, I love Gandolfini so much. Ellen is like, look, I've just heard horror stories that she's not nice to her employees. And it's like, you fucking made it. You did it. You're making stupid money. You live in a probably Troy McClure type fucking floating palace that overlooks the hills or whatever. Like, You're not going to fucking be nice to people. Be fucking nice to people.
I completely agree. And look, I get some of the arguments. Like, you always hear these things like J-Lo, it's in her rider. You can't look her in the eye and all that shit. You're like, wow, that's crazy. And obviously that's silly, but sometimes I understand the amount of effort and energy a person has. You can't always give that away to strangers. You got to save it for the stage or save it for the camera.
No, people do take for sure where you're like, I'll say this. I fucking had to work all day, on a very fucking minor level. I had to work all day. And then we drove every night to do gigs in Jersey at the Stress Factory and that 10 shows. Amazing setup. I love the Stress Factory.
Great club.
After the show, I'm exhausted because it's one show down, trying to recharge in the green room, and there's no one working the door there. So someone just knocks on the door. I assume it's the waiter. So I'm like, oh yeah, come in. It's fucking dudes from the show. They're like, yo, and I'm just I'm like, oh hey man. They're like, can we do a picture? I was like, yeah, all right. It's like 8 dudes, and I'm just like, yeah. And then they're like taking forever, and I said, guys, come on, fucking. So I'm sure they could be like, he's an asshole, but I'm like, just take the fucking picture. I'm trying to relax. Right. I have to do another fucking hour 15 on the late show. I've been working all day. I drove here. I got to drive back. I'm tired.
Of course. But they don't see it that way.
But I don't think that it was like that with Ellen. From what I heard, she did not have her staff's back.
Oh, that's different. Yeah, that's fucked up.
I don't know.
Yeah, these are your staff. You hired them. They're working for you. You want them to like you.
Yeah. That being said, you got to give. I mean, like it's. I think there's nuance to this where being a woman in the clubs in the 90s could not have been, or in the 80s even. She was a fucking she's been at for in the 80s. You were a fucking woman on the road. Like that wasn't easy.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of like, hey, sweetie, ass slap, paying her less. Am I gonna fuck the opener? She's the opener. She's a woman. She'll fuck. There's all that shit. I'm sure.
Well, they had to deal with shit in the 80s with like, if I have a bad set, they're not booking a woman again for months.
Yeah, those are the good. Yeah, it's true. No, probably right. That's got to be rough. And she did Carson, and Carson was like, they did the panel. And he was like, it's got to be tough being a woman. She's like, you have no idea. Wow. So that was it. Even as a kid, I saw that and I was like, really? And I like sunk in.
And it's not like she's not funny. Like she is funny. She was a good comic.
Great comic.
So you know, but be nice. That's all I'm saying. Be nice to people.
Here, here. Yeah.
It's easy to be nice. And like, I get it when you're like a guy. Look, I don't think I was rude to those people, but like, that's a moment where I'm like, oh, they could probably tell people that I was like a little like cranky, but I'm just like, guys, you came into my green room where I'm chilling and hiding.
Right. Well, you have more self-respect because I would just do all the pictures, the hugs, the high fives, and I wouldn't want to do it, but I would do it. And then I would just wait it out and they would leave and I'd be like, But you did the right thing. You stood up for yourself and said, hey, you know, this is all you. I'm getting nothing out of this. And this is one-sided. Help me out here.
I'm happy to take a picture with fucking anyone. I'm shocked. It's like, you know, we've been doing this for a long time. So you're still shocked that anyone wants to take a picture with you. You're still like, holy shit, I can't believe that means something to someone. But at the same time, like, come on, man. And if you're coming into my fucking area where I'm hiding, just have a little respect.
Of course. Yeah. And a little awareness, you know, I'm trying to recharge. Now, what do you do for this one? Because I get this one a lot. I never know how to act. The guy who comes up, he's got you in the headlock and he goes, I love you, man. You can smell the whiskey. And he goes, I drove 4 hours to get here. Oh my God, thank you so much. I can't believe you did that. And then it's quiet. And he's almost kind of like, that's it? I drove 4 hours to see you and you said thanks? I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Make you a sandwich? I don't know what to do here. You drove, I gave you a show, you leave. I mean, this is your choice.
There's a line in the Dangerfield documentary where Adam Sandler's telling this story and he goes, I meet Rodney, he's my favorite comedian ever. And he goes up to me and goes, Rodney, you're my favorite comedian of all time. And Rodney goes, hey, I'll tell you thanks, you know? And he goes, that's it? And Dangerfield goes, what do you want me to do? A fucking cartwheel?
It's true. I mean, I appreciate it. I don't know what to do. Give you gas money? I mean, what do
you just say thank you so much. Give you gas money.
It just never feels like enough.
No, you just say thank you so much, man. It means a lot. That I think what can you say except I'm so grateful that you would drive that far to see me tell my dumb jokes. I mean, it's, you know, you're grateful. You're just like, I thank you so much, man. I can't imagine.
All right,
except I can because I took a fucking flight here. But no. You say I can. You say you're grateful because you are. I mean, it is. I am. It is incredible.
Very appreciative.
It is incredible.
I guess.
But it's incredible that anyone would go. So funny. The first fucking night I'm on stage at the Stretch Factory in Jersey, and Vinny Brand, the owner, comes on. I don't know he's going to come on, so he just starts like, he's like, "Hey, come back and riff with me." I was like, "Yeah, what the fuck? Why not?" So we're talking on stage, and Vinny goes, you know, you're gonna come back to the club, right?" And I'm just like, "I'm here the whole weekend. What do you think I'm? Do you think I'm just bailing on you?"
Yeah.
What do you mean you're gonna come back?
Did the same thing to me. He's like, all these. They get too big. They never come back. Romano, Seinfeld, Chris. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Do a weekend here every night? Like they're doing theaters.
I think Rock does go back. I think Rock will like work out there because he lives in Jersey.
Oh yeah. He'll probably work out there and do like a fucking, what do you call it? Like Oscars or something.
Romano's in the new Scorsese movie. He's like, come back to fucking the Stress Factory. He's like,
right. I know, but
it's
a
great
Vinny.
club. It's a great club, and Vinny's a great dude. And they're actually like, they put up a tent and shit that works. It's incredible. It's like heated. You're not cold. It's insane. He put like 80 grand into it, I heard.
Yeah, and it's paying off. It's one of the best setups in the country, I think. I've done a lot of outdoor stuff, and maybe it is the best. And they run it beautifully, and it kind of feels like a community there. Like the crowds feel like they know Vinny. He knows the crowds. He's saying hi to everybody. It's a cool thing.
I love it. It feels great to be telling jokes, man. I miss it so fucking much. So anytime. I just miss our regular way of life, like doing this every night and hanging at the clubs. And I mean, even this is fucking weirdly just like I look forward to this where we're just like having a drink and shooting the shit. It's just like kind of nice, you know?
It's necessary, totally necessary. And like you go to a green room, I'm at the Stretch Factory in the green room with an opener, Ian Lara, and I didn't want to leave. Like he's like, we got to get back. It's midnight. I'm like, a little longer. You know, we got a chicken sandwich coming in. We got vodka, whiskey, sodas. Let's hang out.
Yeah, I was doing tequila. My thing is like I'll do coffee on the early show and I'll do tequila on the late. Ooh. And I'll do like tequila with lime. It's like kind of hangover proof. It's kind of great.
I love it. That's my go-to as well. All you need is that squeeze of lime. It's a beautiful thing.
Squeeze of lime and you're good. A little Aviano Casamigos or some shit. And you're like, I'm good, dude.
Yeah, they say it has to be a clear tequila. So watch out with that brown stuff.
Yeah, I go clear.
or gold. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I don't do the. I mean, if you want to have like some añejo or some shit, it's pretty good, but you're gonna feel it a little more the next day.
There was one night at the cellar where me, you, and a couple other guys just did Casamigos straight up for, I don't know, 9 hours. And we woke up, we swung the door open, the sun shines in, we fall out on the sidewalk. You fall into a cab, we throw you in. I walk home. I haven't been that hungover since the 80s. The next day I was like regarding Henry. I was like trying to feed myself. I was drooling. Oh, that was the worst hangover of all time.
I remember we would always have that like late afternoon text. I think we'd be like, we're like not talking to people till then. I'd be like, you're hurting, and you'd be like, I'm fucking hurting. I'd be like, you're almost like grateful that it's not just you that's in that much pain. Where you're like, all right, we're in this together. I get. It's funny how much shit like we bring that shit in ourselves, but it's like every once in a while you just need that shit talk or that vent sesh where you're just like, fuck everything. And you feel good.
It's so those hangovers, because you just turn into like the most primal version. You're like, need to eat, shit, water, sleep. You got a skid mark going. You got to order in like a hamburger. I mean, it's the saddest version of you of all time.
Drip drop, do you do that? Pedialyte, any of that stuff?
Yeah, I love Pedialyte.
Game changer.
I can just chug. If I'm hungover enough, I'll just chug the whole carton of it. And my body, you can feel it going in. Your body's like, yep. This is good. We need this.
We got an ad we got to give you too. Lucy's Nicotine Gum.
Good call.
These motherfuckers are great. I mean, if you're struggling with cigarette smoking, this will get you off. Founded by Caltech scientists, former smokers who want to help other people quit. And it actually tastes good. It's like wintergreen and pomegranate flavors, cinnamon, 4 milligrams of nicotine. And, I mean, this is what it's all about, man. Like if you're trying to get off cigarettes, the best time to get off it, especially with COVID, respiratory illness, unless you don't. I mean, I guess there's some, if you're in Jersey, maybe not, because you get the vaccine first if you're a cigarette smoker. So.
Good point.
But, they're supporting the show. So go support them. Get 20% off all products, including gum or lozenges at lucy.co with code DRUNK. You get 20% off with code DRUNK at lucy.co, promo code DRUNK at checkout. And here's the part the lawyers make us say, warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco. Nicotine is an addictive chemical, but you already knew that. So just go get 20% off at lucy.co with code DRUNK.
Yes, get on it today. It tastes great, and they have lozenges if you don't like gum. But look, COVID, this is your time to make yourself better. You got all the free time in the world. Quit smoking, grab some gum, and, because nicotine ain't bad for you. It's just the actual cigarette tar and all that rat shit they put in there. So get the gum, get healthy, live your life longer.
What's
your rec?
Okay, I mean, this is an obvious one, but I've restarted the whole show again, so I got to. Sopranos season 1, man. I have to. I hate to be a fucking cliche, but I'm rewatching the whole show, and I've rewatched the show probably 12 times. I'm obsessed with it, but I'm rewatching. I mean, it's like my Sopranos is my go-to because it's weirdly, for such a violent show, it's weirdly calming because it's so funny. It's so well written. Like that's the other thing. I was watching one today. I went for a run. I was like listening to it, and it's so fucking funny, dude. It's so it was like Uncle Junior, the way he fucking talks, and is like this old man, but he's such a fucking. They find out this kid he knew is Taylor's kid overdosed and like crashed a car, and he's like, this guy's still selling drugs. And Junior just goes, and what's this motherless fuck's name? like every once in a while they have to do some personal shit, and then it just cuts to Junior in the nursing home with Tony's mom. And he goes, ugh, even the coffee's old here.
He's great. He's the funniest one. And that mom was such a coos. Like I would see her in a scene and I would get uncomfortable. She was mean.
Incredible. She was so good. Dude, Junior, my buddy Reese Waters, who's like a great dude. He's like a sportscaster now.
I know Reese.
He did a couple Lettermans back in the day. He's funny and he's like a great dude. I knew him since I started. And he he was telling me he played pool at the Friars Club in New York. He played pool with Junior Soprano once, Dominic Chinese, and he said one of the nicest motherfuckers you'll ever meet. I was like, it just makes you're just like happy that's how it goes, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, that dude, is it Corrado?
Corrado Soprano, yeah.
What a great name. Yeah, he's a badass. I mean, you're probably still in the early seasons, right?
I'm back on season 1, but I've rewatched the entire show so many times. 6 is a harder rewatch for me because it gets so bleak.
Yeah.
When shit starts going downhill, it's kind of like how like the first, hour 50 of Wolf of Wall Street is a ton of fun. And then you're kind of like, this last hour 10 is kind of rough. I don't know.
Right. It's like Elvis's life. You're like, this is unbelievable. And then cut to him dead on a toilet with a, peanut butter and banana sandwich.
It's like anyone's life.
Yeah, I guess so. But man, Jackie Jr., when he comes in, and then when Chris is all like hopped up on dope, that is the saddest shit. But that intervention scene, I still say, is one of the funniest written scenes I've ever seen in television.
I'm with you.
He sits on Cosette, and Tony's obsessed with animals. He's like, you sit on a fucking dog? You didn't feel it under you? How do you kill a dog? And then he calls his mom a whore, so Paulie punches him. I mean, it's just, I'm on the floor.
And Paulie's yelling at him, you're weak. The fucking intervention. It's fucking gold.
Yeah.
I assume most people watching us have seen The Sopranos, but if you haven't seen The Sopranos, watch The Sopranos. It's perfect. It's a perfect show.
Brilliant. It's got something for everybody. And I'd say the best character development on TV. Every character there's so much depth.
Yeah.
To the point where you know what movies they like.
That's a good point.
That's
point. Gary Cooper and fucking Tony watching White Heat at one point with Cagney, and you're just like, this is so many great little. The writers are so smart. Where you're like, oh man, like I'm learning shit. I just rewatched the one where he takes Meadow to college. One of the greatest episodes in TV history. He takes Meadow to look at schools, and he runs into a guy who's in witness protection who used to be in the mob, and Tony fucking kills him.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. It's so layered where you're like, that no show gets like a sociopath and then also shows the family man side of him better, where you're like, even with AJ, where he's just like finding out what his dad does, and Tony just he's at the funeral for Jackie Aprile, and Tony just winks at him, and you're like, fuck, I would want his approval too.
Yeah, totally. It's true, because it's so real. I mean, we're humans with ego and insecurities. It's fucking
I'm sorry to give an obvious rec, but that's what I've been watching again. So
hey.
I will finish Operation Odessa, and you got to watch Rick and Morty. You got to give that one.
I got to watch that.
So
all
good.
Right. I struggle with cartoons, but I don't know why. I love the Simpsons.
You're working on a cartoon.
South Park. I love Family Guy. What?
Yeah, no, you're working on a cartoon, and you just said like three that you love,
Yeah, no, it's all me, but everybody tells me I sound like that guy.
Like Rick?
Yeah.
Because you burp when you talk.
Oh, is that what it is?
He burps when he talks a lot.
Oh, all right. I'll take it.
Yeah, dude, he said Rick from Rick and Morty is like the best character. Yeah, I want to hear what you say. You'll come back on a pod and we'll rehash that at one point. Give me a pet peeve.
Oh, BoJack is another good cartoon too.
BoJack's good. BoJack's fucking. It gets sad. I couldn't finish it. I was like, I don't want to. I'm assuming it ends sadly. I don't want to. It puts me in a bad place. But I did like BoJack.
Oh yeah. All right, pet peeve. I got two, but one of them is better. I wrote it down. I want to say it right. Okay, I'm gonna try to recreate this because it happens to me all the time, and I fucking can't stand it. All right. When you mix up two things on accident and people dwell on it, you go, New York City is the capital of New York, and Albany's the best city in New York. And they go, oh, wait, hold on. I mean, Albany's the capital, and they go, oh, geez, for a second, I thought you thought Albany was the best city in New York. No, New York City's the capital? Albany's the capital. I'm like, I know, I caught it. I changed. You really think New York, the capital? This guy thinks New York City. I'm like, I got it wrong for 2 seconds. I know the answer. And then they just keep hammering it on you. I'm like, this is all you got? You can't come up with anything on your own, so you got to shit on my point that wasn't even good.
I'm so with you. It's like you almost need to retake a scene in a movie, and the director's like, nope, you only got one chance at it, and we're going with that. Yes. You're a shitty actor now.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, you're like, Robert De Niro was in Star Wars and Harrison Ford was in good. I mean, Harrison Ford was in Star Wars. Robert De Niro. You think Harrison Ford was in Goodfellas? Like, no, I corrected myself.
No backsies, no do-overs. You're
and
fucking.
It's like they want you to be wrong so bad, and then you go, no, I'm showing you that I know, and they go, I don't care that you know. I want to just fuck with you.
Oh, that's so fucking funny. That's so true. I hate that. I fucking hate that.
Hate it. They won't leave it alone.
That's a good one because that drives me nuts. I had a funny one. We had a funny thing. I remember we talked about when we were doing clubs on the road early on, and like how that free meal meant so much to us. And you did a club in Ohio, and the guy's like, "Get the salmon."
Yeah.
And you were like, "All right," and they charged you for it.
Yeah, Funny Farm in Youngstown, Ohio. I'll never forget. He was upselling me. He's like, a great wine to get with this swordfish is the red. I was like, all right, bring it on. And then $800 later, you know.
Yeah, that happened to me in a club called Loonies with 2 E's in Colorado Springs. I'm not bragging, but I did a gig and all week he's like, "You can have a drink." I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Fucking pussy," the bartender. And I'm like,
"Yeah,
all right, I'll have a drink." I'm like a young comic on the road. And then they fucking hand me a bill for all the beers at the end of the weekend. I'm like, "You fucking pricks."
What a douche.
You're peer pressuring me. I know.
Yeah. Brutal. How is Colorado Springs? That seems like a pretty town.
It's like a naval base town. It's cute. It's like all right. I mean, it's remember I went to a Mexican restaurant there that was great. It was cool. I mean, like the club wasn't great. I think they have a big, I could be wrong, but I think they have a big Vietnamese population too. It was good. It was, I mean, the club, I think the crowds were like pretty nice. It's just the club kind of sucked. And I was a young comic on the road. I remember taking a picture. I like clubs that have all the headshots up, and it had all, like young Lewis Black, young everyone, our boy Nick Griffin. So I took a picture of him. He's super young, black and white photo. And he goes, "Why would you fucking send this to me?"
That's so romantic to think about those guys, you know, it's still some fire in their belly, you know, there's some hunger, and they're going out to Colorado. These East Coast guys are like, "I'm going to Colorado Springs," whatever the fuck that is. They just wanted to get up.
Fucking awesome. I miss it so much, the regularity of it. But my pet peeve is, this is a dumb one, but when people are running late and they're running late and then they're like, "All right, I'm like 20 minutes out," but they're more than 20 minutes out. And it's like, I'm gonna find out. Just tell me. Don't make me. And then they're like, "Oh, it's like there's traffic." I'm like, "You're running late from running late now."
Right.
So I got, look, if you're late, you're late. But don't fucking lie how late, because then sometimes you're waiting for the person on the street or something. I hate that shit.
It's bad news, and I've done it. I'm guilty of it. Where you go, "I'm getting on the train right now," and you haven't left your house. I've done it, and I feel horrible every time. But you're right; it's a shitty move because the proof is in the pudding. You're gonna show up late, and it's not gonna add up.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's just kind of like, just fucking tell me. Because I don't care that much. I try to be on time. I think punctuality is like, you realize how important that shit is as you get older too, where you're like, yeah, you're fucking with people's time. You're
right.
This is their, you don't know how busy people are. You don't know what's going on in their life. That's the other thing. Like you don't know what people are going through right now. So just be respectful. Like I talked to a friend the other day who I haven't talked to forever. And he told me this fucking horrible story about his wife. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. So be fucking punctual and respectful to people, you know? Shit.
Yeah. And the worst is when they're super late and you're like, all right, well, I got a hard out. And then they show up and you're like, well, now we only have this much time. And they get mad at you. Like, what? We'll never make it. You're like, that's
oh my God.
We would have done it if you were on time.
I love that. When you agree to do something you don't want to do and then they're late and then you're like, all right, well, I still got to leave at this time. They're like, oh, come on. You're like, fuck you.
Right. One of my favorite Todd Barry jokes when he's like, you ever have someone make plans with you and you don't really want to do it and they cancel? Oh, he's like, oh, sorry, I can't meet back up. I'm too busy dancing in the streets.
Oh, fuck. That's great.
You know what else I on a piggybacking on your late thing, a pet peeve.
Please.
I was hanging out at my friend's house because I'm back in New Orleans, so I'm seeing some old high school douches. And the guy, I'm at his parents' house, and his mom's going, "Hey, lunch is ready. Come on down." And he's going, "I'm coming." He's upset. "I'm coming." And she's like, "Okay." And then he's like still doing stuff. And she's like, "Hello, lunch." He's like, "I'm coming, Mom." It's like, "No, you're not. She's calling you. You keep saying you're going, but you're not moving."
Oh, that would drive me
crazy. I'm like, she's right. I'm with her.
Damn. What a fucking prick.
Yeah, I feel like kids do that to their parents all the
He's
time.
living at home?
Huh?
Is he living at home?
Oh, he's a fucking loser. Yeah, he's a drug addict guy. He's a great dude. He's cool as shit, but yeah,
It
he
doesn't
lives
sound that
at home.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's fun. He's a fun guy. He's on pills and stuff.
That's so funny. A fun guy. It's so fucking funny. Well, I feel like him not coming down to lunch on time is the least of his fucking mom's worries.
Yeah. Well, worry about the oxycodone or whatever he's.
Does he do that shit?
Well, he's got all kinds. He's got like a jar of pills, looks like mints and candy, and you're like, oh, that's a bar, that's a Xanax, that's a whatever it is, a purple football, you name it. Fun guy.
It's funny the pills like that people take when they get, because I've noticed a lot of like older people, when you're younger, you take like speed, coke, shit that like gives you energy and shit. But when you get older, it's all shit that slows you down, like Ambien, or like it's also you're like 7 p.m. I'm fucking tapping out. You know what I mean?
That's so true. It's like, yeah, you go to college and everybody's doing Adderall. They're all snorting it. They're all popping it. And then, you get older and everybody's like, give me a fucking Xanax or a Klonopin. I want to conk out on this flight.
Yeah, you kind of want less time as you get older, or you're at least more like, you kind of know when to dip out. I think that's part of being older. Like when you're younger, you're like, I'll be up till 7 a.m. But then you're older, you're like, I'll get up at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want your time to coincide with that motherfucker when you're older.
Yes. And you could say the same with sleep. I mean, look at kids. They never want to go to sleep. Then they want to wake up early. And as an adult, you're like, I'm dying to crash. I'm dying to sleep in. I got to get a nap in. Sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like weird. I was driving to the gig with Shafi. He drove, our buddy Shafi Hussein. And he could see I was like exhausted, and he was like, dude, conk out for a second. And I just passed out in the car for like 5 minutes, and I felt so much better.
That's a good guy right there. Some people don't like the nap car guy.
I never am that guy. I always fight through it, but like, especially end of the night, because I'm like, oh, I'm going home, I'll fucking coffee up, whatever. But like pre-show, I'm like, I'm not gonna have it if I don't. And that's the first time I've done it in forever, years, you know?
Yeah. But no, they say like a 6 minutes of napping can really boost you like 80%. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, that's wild. What do you got for news stories?
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna throw out my Super Bowl tweet.
Just so good. That was
so relevant. All right, let me just hopefully nobody gets mad about this, but hey, fuck it.
Who's getting mad?
I don't know. People like who love Brady or hate COVID or whatever.
Fuck that shit, dude.
I know. Everybody's mad about something.
They're jokes. Brady, but also like we've said, we respect the guy. Like we can't make jokes. He's the fucking greatest ever. You can't fucking make a comment.
Good point. All right, here we go. Today is the Super Bowl, so it's topical. Tom Brady is the COVID of football. He's thriving in Florida. He's put up huge numbers, and some people still don't believe in him.
That's a great joke. That's like a fucking perfect late night joke.
Yeah, we got 700 retweets, so we're cooking.
That's great. I had an idea for Brady as like how I saw an interview where he was asked if he and Giselle ever have sex on game day. And he said, I would never say I wouldn't say it's never happened, but it's not the time, it's time for prep. I like that. I like the just image of Giselle trying to bang him. And he's like, not now. I'm thinking about Gronk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got to watch game film.
The other idea is like about how Brady and Giselle met on a blind date in 2006. But like, I don't like that it's called a blind date, because it's like, what they look like.
Yeah, right.
You're both on the cover of magazines. It's not a blind date.
Yeah, I mean, we've all showed up to a blind date and you're like, oh my God, she's attractive, thank God. Imagine being like, oh my God, she's a supermodel.
Yeah, like no one's going on you're like, oh, I'm going on a blind date with Kate Upton. I hope she's pretty, shit.
Yeah, exactly. Hope she's got huge cans. Jesus, look at those knobs.
What do you got for
Wait, let's hear yours.
Those are my ideas for the news.
Okay.
Super Bowl.
Oh, right. All right. Yeah, that's great. And here's another quick one. This is the stupidest.
Give me another.
PETA wants you to stop using animal slurs like pig or chicken. And I said, PETA's getting a little squirrely. All right. There's your tweet, folks. Now we're getting to this. Nike has unveiled their first hands-free shoes.
Ooh.
I said, not hands-free for the Chinese boy who sewed it up. All right, we're moving on.
Not hands-free for the Chinese. That's strong.
Uh-huh.
That's good.
All right, you got a bit?
I had one other that was like a riff last night, but it was just like a riff on the Super Bowl. They were like Mahomes or Brady, and I said, well, it's basically the 2008 election. It's a cool young black guy versus an old white.
Ha ha! Oh, that's good.
Off the cuff, it killed. I don't know
That's
if
a great connection.
Let's see. Yeah, give me a bit that you're working on.
Well, I feel bad because I'm 2 weeks in a row with a trans bit, but I think I got something here.
Okay, Chappelle.
It's pro.
I mean, I'm fucking around.
All right. So, but I think I got a big angle here, and I did it on stage. Signed it. It worked, but it's still wonky. Okay.
This sounds like a trans person decide talking about their piece. I've got a big angle. It's wonky.
Yeah, it
still works.
Right. I think you'll like it if you give it a chance.
Please.
All right. So trans women are now playing sports with biological women and dominating.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are upset about this. And it must be how white guys felt in the 40s when black people started playing. Like, we can't allow this. We'll never win again. It's unnatural.
That's fucking great.
All right. And nobody gets hurt in that. It's not really, you can't really get offended by it.
Yeah. What's her name? Jack Robinson. That's not a fucking woman.
Right. They're not the same as us.
Jacqueline Robinson.
Hey, that's good. I like that.
Dude, that's a great.
Could be
That's a great premise.
Needs more, but I think that's the.
Well, the
and
premise.
By the way,
yeah.
Sorry, 2 of these that I've pitched on you that you helped me with are working now. So.
Oh yeah.
My friend had a great idea, Eric. He said we should shoot this and then shoot the bit working on stage.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I love it. I mean, we've been doing this for years.
I know.
My idea was on. Have you seen the documentary, The Brooklyn 7-5?
I love it.
It's about the most corrupt precinct in New York history. It's hilarious. First off, I love documentaries that are like people who just clearly, it's like the Odessa guy, clearly have not learned their lesson. Like they're reminiscing about this shit like it's still cool. And they're like, would I change anything? Nah. And you're like, you're an unemployable, divorced loser. Like you wouldn't change anything. But so basically for the for the fucking bit was that they're talking about the precinct. And they're like, it was the scariest precinct ever. Anyone would have been scared. It would have scared Clint Eastwood. And I'm like, oh, you mean a 97-year-old actor? He would have been. No one would have fucked with us. Not Dustin Hoffman. Not Meryl Streep. No one.
That's great. That's great.
So
None of the Police Academy.
No one in the Police Academy.
Steve Guttenberg wouldn't have stood a chance.
The sound effect guy.
The sound effect guy. That's great. You couldn't say Dirty Harry.
Exactly. Clint Eastwood.
That's hilarious.
Made me laugh. So an old man who wears makeup and goes to a set.
Yes.
Fucking
exactly.
adorable. Clint Eastwood, by the way, still fucking kicking, man. Incredible.
I know. He looks good too.
He looks great.
I saw a movie with my ex-girlfriend. She was like, he's kind of hot. I'm like, all right, take it easy there, Dilfy. But
he's a handsome man.
Handsome man, great. Just like a, what do you call it? A tight skin. Like, a lot of old men get that loose skin. He's tight as a drum. But the guy who directed 7-5 also directed Operation Odessa and The Night Stalker.
Wow. I just watched Night Stalker on your rack.
Oh yeah, Tiller Russell. He's fun.
That motherfucker's creepy. They're just dead behind the eyes, man. They're just like, you're like, this dude's got nothing back here.
Nothing. And again, pre-DNA, they were going off a shoe print.
Fucking crazy. Yeah, it's hilarious that like they find a fucking like a boot imprint and they're like, we got him. It's like that's how fucking primitive you did. Crazy.
I know, and people were tough back then. Like it's California in the 80s or whatever. Some guy gets shot in the face and chases the dude out.
Yeah. I think you're just in shock and you're just like, fuck this motherfucker. But that was crazy. There's that one part where they're like, yeah, if I got chased by a dude I shot in the face, I'd be scared too. And you're like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
good point. And I love that these cops are chasing him for years, literally years. And then a fucking dude on the street beats the shit out of him with a lead pipe. I'm like, yeah, a little street justice.
You see these kids though, it's like we should there should be like tests for kids who would look deranged like that. Cause like you're dead behind the eyes at like 7.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of treatment and rehab because like you can't just let that kid keep going.
I know, but what are you gonna do? Hey, the teacher comes on the loudspeaker. Hey, Billy Johnson, you look fucking creepy. Can you come in here? Yeah, like how do you regulate that?
You throw him in a cage. He drinks water like a guinea pig out of a bottle, and you poke him with a stick till he fucking snaps out of it. I don't know.
I think we're doing it at the border, but you know,
I like that my idea is the worst idea Trump ever fucking had. I'm like, this is what we do.
Right.
We separate him from his parents. We put him in a cage.
Exactly.
No, but these kids really need like
they need
there's
help.
some. Well, and then also you're like they were saying like every fucking idea, like every bad thing that could have happened to him, but like
exactly. Isn't it kind of cool though? And this is gonna sound horrible, but much like a superhero origin. You know, this guy he got hit with radiation or gamma rays, and he became the Hulk. If you do the negative version of gamma rays, they will become a villain.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
No, I know what you mean. Like without fail, like your best case going to make them emotionally fucked. Worst case, you're creating like a fucking super villain.
Yeah. Super villain and best case comedian. You know, molesting, beating, you know, all that shit. They used to keep him in a closet for a day. I mean, all kinds of shit.
Or best case serial killer, worst case comedian. However,
there we go. Either way, you get on Netflix.
the shitty serial killers, they have to self-produce their documentaries. They're like, it's on fucking YouTube. This is bullshit.
that joke of yours, I remember when I first heard it at the Fat Black sitting on the stairs. I think you were running it for a Corden.
Oh yeah.
That's such a great joke about the serial killers. Are there serial killers at home watching serial killers on TV going, this guy sucks?
Yes.
That's so good. What a great angle.
They're watching pissed off like we are, like this motherfucker. I'm a way better murderer than this guy. Yeah.
Right.
2 kills. I've been doing this for years. Yeah. It's fucking
what a hack. I was watching that with Becky Owen and we both went, damn.
Mike's the best. Such a fucking great comic.
Another underrated guy.
Did you do a track? You did a track on his album, right?
Yeah.
That took so long.
I know. I was there.
We both lip synced a track. I've never done this before. It was really hard. You're like, fuck, this is hard. But Mark and I both lip synced the track for Mike Vecchione's. It's for The Worst Kind of Thoughtful, his album.
Yes.
Incredible album.
Great album. Both of his that one and Muscle Confusion. Muscle Confusion.
They're both great, but I think Worst Kind of Thoughtful even took it, like, because I had that 10-minute megabus bit where you're like, fuck.
Oh, that's poetry.
He's a beast.
By the way, not to get too 80s, but whenever something is really good, we say, oh, it's poetry. But poetry sucks. Nobody likes poetry, but yet everything's like, oh, the way he swings that golf club, it's poetry.
Well, I think poetry at its best is incredible. At its worst, and that's kind of what comedy is.
Good point.
You know, at its best, you're like, fuck, I'll hear a great song lyric and be like, that's poetic. But you hear like bad music and you're just like, ugh, like this is the bad anything, but like especially comedy is yes. Bad music you can kind of tune out. Bad comedy, bad magic. I feel like
oh, that's just sad. You see he's like a 48-year-old guy, he's divorced and he's doing like the rings, 4 rings out of when they fall apart. And you're like, oh, this poor guy's family left him. You're in Vegas at like one of the C rooms, you know, which we've played. But wait, you had something there that I wanted to. Shit. Oh, when I was in college, I took a trip to Chicago with my girlfriend. I was like, oh, let's see Chicago. We've never been. And we went to an improv show at Second City. It was unbelievable. People shit on improv all day long. There's a lot of bad improv, obviously. But when you see good improv, it's poetry. It's unbelievable.
It's poetry.
It's
that's going to be a catchphrase for the pod. What do you remember? Did any of the guys go on to be big? Because that's a big, Chicago improv. Like, so many of the greats came out of there. Farley, right? Mike Myers, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, yeah. I think some went to like the Groundlings and then worked their way up into movies and stuff like that, like a lot of sitcom-y stuff. I don't know their names, but I mean, these guys were, I was on the edge of my seat. My jaw was on the floor. Like, how did they think of that? That was so quick. That was
Wow.
brilliant. You're lost in the scene. You feel like, we're on the moon now. And you felt like you bought it. It totally worked. And everything, I would shout out a thing. They would run with it. It was amazing. And then you see some improv in a black box theater in Manhattan. You're like, I want to kill myself. I want to eat a bullet. This is the worst I've ever seen. I'm cringing. I'm shitting blood. I hate this.
What that's such a fucking it's such a funny that'd be a great improv name, Eat a Bullet. Well, I remember I did a gig in Chicago once, and there's that old, I forgot the name of it. I think the show is called Paper Machete, and it's at an old Capone bar. You've done this before? Yeah, it's like
yes.
Yeah. So I did that gig, and it's like a classic, cool ass fucking old Capone bar.
Yeah, it's green. The outside is green.
Yes,
and it's right by the L, the train. Oh, I did that room. It's got a wraparound roundish bar.
I'm looking it up right now. What it's called? The Green Mill.
That place was amazing.
The Green Mill.
Green Mill.
Chicago. Fucking maybe that'll be our backdrop for one of these episodes. Classic. And Scott Adsit from 30 Rock did improv before my set, and he was fucking hilarious. He was really, really good.
Yeah, mine was a burlesque thing, and I was the comedy. It was so cool.
And Matt Bronger was there as well. It was fun.
Oh,
Chicago guy. Love Bronger. Yeah, and Scott Adsit, though, you're like, fuck, this dude, he's so funny on 30 Rock, so it's just cool to see him fucking around doing like...
I love that. It's like when you see like Bill Burr pop in on a bar show, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yes. We should also plug the Patreon, man. We already got almost 200 people. We just started. It's patreon.com/we-might-be-drunk pod. And then we also have a new email. We changed the email because we changed the name of the pod. So it's now we-might-be-drunk@gmail.com. Join the Patreon. We'll read your emails, your pet peeves, your recs, all that shit. We also got an ad we got to do. It's we might be drunk pod at Gmail. Sorry.
POD.
Thank you, Harry. We might be drunk pod at Gmail. Pet peeves, recs, jokes, put it in the subject. We'll read it on the pod. Your drink recs. Maybe we'll do. I talked to someone after a show. It was in the show in Stress Factory, and someone said we should do drink. Like we should take drink recs from that should be an episode. Like they choose what we drink. And I was like, that could be fun. I don't know.
I would love that. I mean, I like trying new shit. I feel like I've had the whole range on alcohol. So if you got a new idea, throw it at us. We'll make it. And joke premises are great. One-liners. Yeah, you name it. So bring it on in.
And keep listening to the pod. Give us a 5-star review. We love you guys. We're grateful for you guys. We're having fun doing this. So I'm glad that you guys are enjoying this. Subscribe on Spotify, on Apple, watch on either on Mark or my YouTube channel, watch our specials on YouTube.
Yes.
And stay safe. And we appreciate you guys.
Yeah. I can't believe we both had Bloody Marys. How perfect.
I loved it. Sync. Perfect. Because that's like a day drinker pro move right there.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Get a little flavor in there, a little sustenance. That's a vegetable, right?
All right. We'll see you next week, and subscribe to the Patreon and you get a second one.
Comedy.